The status quo. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 291 of the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and welcome to the one of the usual 2 episodes of the weekend, the weekend drop, where we try to understand one simple idea that's quietly shaping how we think and behave. Today, we're diving into why we cling to what is, even when it's not that good for us, and how just one small shift can completely change the way you make choices. Before we start, as usual, if you end up liking this episode, remember that liking and subscribing really mean a lot for me. They're just one click, but they really make the difference. Thank you very much for considering it. Let's start with some examples. You know that moment when you open a menu and despite all the exciting options, you just order the usual? Or when you renew a subscription you barely use simply because, well, you already have it, right? That right there is one of the most powerful invisible forces shaping your decisions, and it's called the status quo bias. This bias is a built-in cognitive shortcut that makes us prefer things to stay the same. It's not the laziness, it's wiring. Our brains treat the current state as a kind of safe zone, a known quantity. And this is deeply linked to 2 psychological forces that Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman and his colleagues documented decades ago. And if you've listened to previous episodes of The Weekend Drop, you will know them perfectly. Loss aversion and the endowment effect. Just to quickly recap, the loss aversion means we feel the pain of losing something about twice as strongly as the pleasure of gaining something of the same value. And the endowment effect means that once we own something, a routine, a product, even a belief, we start to overvalue it simply because it's ours. Together, these forces push us toward the familiar, even when the unfamiliar might actually be better. This is why people stick with jobs they don't like, or stay subscribed to newsletters they never read, or keep habits they don't deserve them anymore. It's not that we choose them, it's that we don't choose to change. The bias doesn't just shape our small daily decisions, it changes entire societies. One of the most striking examples comes out of a 2003 study by Eric Johnson and Daniel Goldstein on organ donation rates in Europe. In countries where people are automatically registered as donors unless they opt out, donation rates are over 90%. But in countries where you have to actively opt in, they plummet to under 20%. The difference isn't values or beliefs, it's just a checkbox. The same happens with retirement savings in the US. Automatic enrollment in 401k plans dramatically increase participation because most people will stick with the default. Behavioral economists like Brigitte Medreyan and Dennis Shia found that when companies switched from opt-in to opt-out, participation rates jumped by more than 30 percentage points. So, if a simple default can influence whether someone donates their organs or saves for retirement, imagine how many of your daily choices are just you sticking with the status quo. Here's a challenge for you this weekend. Flip one default. Doesn't need to be dramatic. In fact, the smaller the better. Change the default on your phone's bedtime reminder. Swap your go-to order for something new. Or set your streaming app to stop playing after one episode instead of auto-playing endlessly. The point isn't the change itself. It's to remind your brain that the current state isn't sacred. It's just the path of least resistance. And once you show yourself that this path can be rewritten, you start noticing just how many choices in your life were never really choices at all. So, finally, how do you keep this momentum going? First, name the default. Literally, say it out loud. I'm only doing this because it's the current state. Second, ask yourself, if I were starting from zero, would I still choose this activity? That one question cuts through the illusion of inevitability. And third, pre-commit to one alternative default for the next week, even if it's as small as rearranging the apps on your home screen. Remember, you're not fighting your brain, you're using it. The status quo bias is powerful, but once you understand it, you can flip it to work for you instead of against you. Having said that, that was all for today from the Weekend Drop. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. As usual, I see that you really like these shows, so keep on doing them. If you made it so far, thank you very much again. Feel free to interact with this content in any way, shape, or form, liking, subscribing, sharing it, whatever feels like doing for you. And having said that, as usual, stay consistent, stay resilient. This was the Shower Podcast, and I'll see you tomorrow.